Good evening. Hi, I am Jo-Ann Hoye, and I am super excited that you are joining me tonight as I launch Sip, Spark, Create. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to grab a friend and just, kick back and learn a couple things. Tonight, I'm introducing my new group, Creatives Art Spark. And I just wanted to share a little bit about myself. I've been doing creative arts for the church for 25 plus years. So I have all kinds of different experience that actually where I've served in creative arts teams. I've served as creative art directors, and I served as an arts coach across the U.S., helping various churches with different unique plans that actually are interactive and actually share the gospel of Jesus Christ in a way where it's not real regimented and that it's freeing and fun for their parishioners. So I just want to jump on and say hi and share a couple of my tips that I have for starting a creative team. And a creative team is real important because it's like you don't want to work in a vacuum. You always want to see who else you can pull into your organizing for your event. So stay tuned for that. And so if you are joining me, hey, feel free to drop some comments. If you're watching YouTube or Facebook Live, feel free to just drop something in the comment section. And if I am able to respond, I definitely will. Oh, wow. Okay. I hear from one of my favorites, of course, Miss Andy Mabina. Hey, Andy. Always good to see you. Thank you for joining. And another favorite of mine is Miss Tiffany Monique Bryant Greenwood. I call her Tiff, but yeah, good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. So we're going to go forth and I'm going to get my PowerPoint slide up. So if you could hold on for just a quick one, I will do that. Here we have it. Welcome, Sip, Spark, and Create from me. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm super excited. So I just want to make sure we have it all together. It's kind of interesting. So there are 3 top tips that I give for building a creative team. And again, it's necessary because you kind of never know who your audience is as far as building the team or the needs of building the team and the reasons why. The teams that I've actually sat on where it's just full-fledged ministers or those that were directors in the of the church that came together on a weekly basis to actually help the pastor out in forecasting what he wanted, his vision, and trying to make it as interactive as possible. So he knew that he didn't have all the ideas, and so he had a team of creatives that he depended on. And so we did a lot of work. We did a lot of fun, different things. The other type of creative group I sat on was just with a bunch of different artists. And we'd come together and I would not have all the ideas. And that was the best part of it because some of my ideas or some of their ideas were the ones that we were able to mix and integrate to do other things. And then the third time, it's kind of like a community outreach where you're just looking to see who is out there that can help you do what you need to do. So excited about that. Okay, so 3 top things. So here we go. Many rains ago when I was in seminary, I believe and still hold to this particular quote, that the arts have been identified as a cultural vehicle to connect the complexities of the 21st century family to the Great Commission. And that's kind of my onus where I definitely push out where we need to be, and kind of our focus is that some of the things that we've done, like at the end of the century, may not be what we need now. So staying current with that. And so it is that platform. The arts has become that platform where you're not necessarily having to say, come to church to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. You're actually able to do it out into the community. And it's more effective because people are willing to listen when they're not feeling like they're in a space that they're unfamiliar with. And the church, for many, have become an unfamiliar place. And so they're uncomfortable. So we want to go out to them. Sound familiar? It should. So my top tip number 1 is define the art genres with the creatives that you want to incorporate. And so I have a nice little list here of poets, songwriters, designers, architects, filmmakers, writers, choreographers, musicians, actors, and photographers. And there's actually blendings of them. I actually work with a really good friend who serves as a graphic artist. He runs his own radio station, so he's a sound engineer, and he does voiceovers with a professional DJ voice, where you would say, I want him, and I know those that are on, they know exactly who I'm talking about. But being able to find members that who you find out what they're really good at or what they're interested in kind of really helps with what you may be looking for. So keep that in mind as you are looking to do different things just for the sake of putting together that team. And sometimes, like myself, I know I bring a host of different things. And so spoken word and poetry and let me see who else is up there. Filmmakers, and even some, I play with some photography, and definitely writers. So there's a blend. There is a blend. So first, define what your genres of with creatives that you want to incorporate to whatever your event is. Okay, and then I love this quote also from Vince Barton. Artists, creatives have a mandate in the kingdom of God to get a glimpse of what God has done in the spirit and to flesh it out into the natural. So I know that I am very passionate about making sure, that what God has given me is done in excellence and that it actually reaches the masses. So that's where kind of experience with working with different interactives in the community. And what I mean by an interactive, that might seem like, well, what the heck is that? I've had interactive projects, productions where you not really sure what you're doing, but you're going through something which requires you as a participant to become involved with it. I have this one production that's called Choices, as we all must make that choice for Jesus Christ. And it starts off as a storyline, and the interactive happens as you're kind of on a tour and you are following the story room by room. So several different rooms as you tell the story. And in some of those rooms, you need to give a response. Raise your hand, say, yes, I'm here. There's different response. Or you may need to wash your hands because, Pilate washed his hands. So it was called Choices. And some of the things that the people that have gone through the productions is that it was so personal to them, like the Bible for the first time became alive. They came alive with who Jesus is. And that's what we're pointing to. We're trying to plant that seed or plant that spark to help them see who he is. And so Vince is trying to let us know that working with creatives, building that creative team, you're working with someone who really understands what God wants from the spirit to come out into the flesh. So tip number 2, think outside the box. A lot of times people get so hung up of, well, this is how we always do it. Well, let's try something else this time. Let's not have it, this is how we do it. More like, well, what else can we do? So creative teams can grow and engage your target audience, whether from the community or, as I've said before, within the church body. This increases the opportunity for the invisible creatives to participate. And you're saying, invisibles? Who are the invisible creatives? A lot of times they're sitting right in front of you. They're either the church greeter or the choir member, musician, volunteer who always loves to volunteer in the children's ministry, hint, hint, so that they can make the crafts for demonstration. Being aware of this, including them, might be the spark that you were looking for to do whatever production that you're wanting to do. So that's how you kind of bring them in, because they keep showing up and they're excited that they get to either demonstrate this craft or make it for you, or they're all about that. And so that's kind of a way for you to say, I might need to talk to him a little bit more about that. Okay, we're going to move on to tip number 3. Empower your team to start asking questions. Once you've got them together and you've identified them and you find out what their strengths and weaknesses are, and you've been able to couple the art of the genre with who the creative is. And again, there may be this blending that you may not be aware of, but empower the team. Start asking questions like, what if, or why should we do that? You are releasing them and giving them the power to speak their minds, that allows them to open their hearts and minds toward bigger goals, the big picture, to say where they're not feeling like they have to work within this little box. And sometimes the feedback that you get from them can help create something you couldn't even imagine. And I know the teams that I work on it, there are things that they share are morphed. It's like, that's the best word, morphed into something I couldn't even imagine. So being open and allowing the team, empowering the team to ask their questions and get it out there and give them what ifs, and kind of stirring the pot and just giving them a voice, a place for them to give that spark, to start that spark. What ifs and what should we do? Why should we do this are all spark questions that will help you in the creative process that you are doing to whatever your project is. So another quote from Richard Villalonga. He says, art is one expression for the formation of this revelation, insofar as it serves as a language for intellectual, moral, and religious conversion. That is, as an aspect of human culture, independently of the degree of its beauty. And so the arts speak a language that a lot of time can't come across the pulpit or can't come across in a small group. Sometimes people will engage with art much differently because it becomes like a personal opportunity for them to see and experience God in the way that they relate to him. And so that's always great to be able to speak that language. And so a lot of times, everyone's thinking, okay, that's great to have, all these degrees, but sometimes it's the simple little things that make it a culturally independent beauty for them to receive who Christ is in their life. And so, yes, this is going to be a quick one, I can see, but I love it. I love it. I love it. So that's basically it. I'm opening up now if there are any questions or things that we have, that you might want to ask. I'm happy to address them. So I'll give a few minutes for you to move those little fingers on your keyboard. But I'm here in case you have anything. And if not, that's good too. I know a lot of people saying, what made me start this particular thing? Well, I'm coming off of the heels of an 11th month program coming up. Yes, 11 months. And I got a spark to actually do something to make a difference. And it's called, in case you don't know, Wholesome Words, Poetic Emotion. And this month or next month in May, which is probably tomorrow, it's going to be Believe. And what I've learned from just being obedient, I really believe that there is someone waiting on the other side of your obedience. And I ventured into a world where I never thought that I would be doing what I'm doing right this very minute. And so during the civil unrest in May, God put it upon my heart in June, early June, to open up a spoken word platform and allow people to speak their hearts through poetry or song, kind of like an open mic. And so, again, I'm coming up to my anniversary, Juneteenth, and it was well received. And what it pushed me out to do was basically this. I mean, I've gone through an evolution of what to do, what not to do, how to make things even better than what I'm doing even right now. But there have been people along the way that have grown and have recognized that, oh, this is something. They received a spark like, oh, is that about me? I'm a creative. And basically, among a lot of other things, as I serve as a mentor and an arts coach and a lot of other things that, to help others see who God has called them to be is one of my highlights. And a lot of times people don't realize that they're creative, or who else can you talk to, or what should I do, or I want this particular programming, but I don't know how to do it. And I don't even know how to talk or where to go. And so the creatives art spark came from, well, where are they going to go? And so I plan to have other trainings and other opportunities to specifically help with those to get art spark, and introduce you to other creatives that I know that do a plethora of things. So if that's what you're here for, then that's what Creative Art Spark is about. And I don't see if I have any other questions. If there are any other questions, that's great. And if not, I'll wait a few more minutes to see if we have anything. Hopefully the 3 tips have been helpful. And so it doesn't look like anything. Oh, here is one. This is from Tiffany. What should be my first steps when I don't know how to begin a program? So that's a great question, Tiffany. Thank you for asking that. Your first steps are to just kind of write all your ideas down. Write them down. I'm infamous for having OneNote and sharing it with the people that I'm working with. And so write your ideas down. And then as you have identified some creatives to come help you, then you may want to reach them out and say, hey, these are some of my ideas, because it'll start with you. He will reveal what he wants with you. So I say write whatever the ideas are, because your ideas or your sparks are really coming from God. And so write them down so that there can be another level of illumination of what's going on. So write them down, and then go to tip number 1 that says, find those artists or those creatives that match up with, oh, I have this idea, and maybe this or maybe that. Sometimes just a healthy discussion with someone else from a filmmaking background or a graphic artist background or whatever could be that spark that launched you to get and to help you get that. And then the program may just evolve, but start with writing your ideas first. Thank you, Tiffany. That's a great question. Have another question from Andy Mabena. And she says, I know you mentioned before to get my spoken word videos out, but I've noticed when putting on my timeline, it doesn't get much viewing. What ideas do you have to get me to get more exposure? Well, that's a good question, Andy, to get your spoken word videos out. So right now, Andy, where I know you personally are, you're at the beginning where people are just hearing where you are. You might want to check Facebook out to see if there's other groups that are encouraging others to share what they have. They are out there. I know that for sure. Sometimes it's just maybe taking your Facebook page and saying it's going to be Mabena Poetry on Thursdays, and you play it and share it with all the people that you know. So again, sharing so people can see, maybe working and sharing why you wrote it, what's kind of the message behind what you're saying. And maybe just pick a day where you highlight yourself. I know other artists have come on and they'll just play their instruments. Like one of my favorites is Black Violin, and they'll just pick a day and they'll just play music for a while, and and that will be their treat. So you might come up with some type of poetry corner or something that comes from you. So you may name your poetry session something else that you want, and share it with those. And try not to look for exposure, because you never know who's watching. And so it may not be wide or as big as you would like right now, but the person who needs to see it will find it. So don't look at the rewards right now. Work on making your craft better and doing more where you can begin to share what God has given you. Okay? All right. Thank you. Yes, putting it on your timeline is great too. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, great questions both that are meaningful. So just getting started, what to do, how to get it started. Start off with I always start off with prayer, and actually I'm like, okay, God, here I am. What you want? What you want to do? And I have laptop ready, fingers ready to twinkle. And he starts sharing me that what he wants. Okay, we have another question from Miss Tiffany. How can I ensure that I'm growing as a creative? Good question, Tiffany. The way that you know that you're growing as a creative is that different sparks. After you have experienced something where you've worked with different creatives and you see how the group process works, then you start automatically trying to push buttons, as someone I know says, and trying different things. And you're not even sure why, but you're going to try and push them anyway, right? So just not being fearful and just trying things. So you will find out that as you keep trying things that you might start to like it. Like, oh, this is interesting. I never even thought I could do this. Wow. Sound familiar? So it's baby steps. You may not see any great big leaps right away, but baby steps and understanding what your purpose and your calling and what your gifting is really helps as well. Hopefully that has been helpful. Let me know. Thank you so much. You guys are the greatest. So I know I said I'd be on here for about an hour, but it's been a launch. And again, sip, spark, create, watch for it in the group. There will be other opportunities where I will be coming on and sharing different ideas and ways for you to get your spark in order for you to create. And it's like a great opportunity to share my knowledge with you. And hopefully, as I'm preparing for different trainings and workshops with other creatives that are in my life, encouraging me on to continue to do what I'm doing now. I really am excited about it. So with that, I am going to close the session and thank everybody for coming and asking your questions. And if you have some other questions, feel free to drop your questions and the Creatives Art Spark group. And you may get answers from other creatives, but I'm there. That's why I'm there to help those to formulate ideas, get other creative sparks going, introduce other artists that you may say, oh, I need someone that does this, or oh, I need something to do that, and actually start working with a lot of different art coaches. So I'm excited that you joined me, and I'm going to say bye-bye for right now, and I will see you guys later. Thank you so much. See you in the group.